Have you ever met someone and felt an instant, overwhelming connection? A chemistry so intense it feels like destiny? This isn't always romance. Sometimes it's the precise fit of two people who are both fundamentally wounded. This is codependency. It's not just a person being clingy. It's a profound, complex dynamic where two halves try desperately to make a whole, often resulting in two ticks and no dog. It's an unspoken agreement that says, I will try to fix you if you will complete me. At its root, this dance is driven by childhood pain. Wounded attracts wounded. Both parents enter the relationship with deep, unaddressed needs stemming from emotional neglect, unavailable parents, or parents who were overwhelmed and leaned on the child for support. To understand why this cycle is so devastating, we need to meet the players. We'll call them the caretaker and the fixated. First, the caretaker, the traditional codependent. Imagine them as the Cinderella of the story. They were likely neglected, unfavored, or constantly put in a servant role. They never had their own needs mirrored or validated by their primary caregivers. What lessons did they learn? They learned that their only value came from being useful. They became hypervigilant to the moods and needs of others, a survival strategy developed to earn scraps of attention. This creates a fundamental distortion of identity. They are a human doing, not a human being. They neglect their physical health, their dreams, and their emotional well-being because the focus must always be external. The caretaker's deepest, most subconscious hope is simple. I can fix him, and when he's whole, he will finally see me and love me the way I deserve. They are constantly chasing the future reward of being rescued, but in reality, they are their own worst enemy. They are addicted to the potential of the other person and ignore the hurtful reality. They've essentially recreated the environment of their childhood, where they are striving to please someone who is ultimately unavailable. Fixation isn't love. It's a compulsive pattern. It's an ingrained, almost automatic response that avoids the terrifying feeling of self-awareness. If they focused on their own pain, they'd have to confront the original neglect, something their inner child is still protecting them from. Now, we turn to the fixated, the prince narcissist, or maybe better described as Humpty Dumpty, all broken inside. They often have imposing stature, a powerful career, and an aura of competence. Their whole life is structured to deny one thing: weakness. Their wound is often rooted in the inverse of the caretaker's.
Eat it. Every last drop.
They grew up having to be the parent. Perhaps their mother was unhappy or addicted, leaning on them for emotional strength. They learned that love equals strength and that vulnerability equals collapse. To protect themselves, they created a shell of perfection. They are ruled by shame and must achieve, control, or dominate to keep their internal brokenness hidden. Any feeling of despair is swiftly handled by a mechanism of escape. This is where the addiction or compulsive behavior comes in. The workaholism, the substance abuse, the gambling, the womanizing. These aren't just bad habits.
Hey, you, what's your name?
They are high-speed escape tunnels from the intolerable feeling of internal insecurity. When the fixated meets the caretaker, they feel relief. They finally have someone who will serve them without asking for anything difficult in return. They get the non-threatening, unconditional nurturing they never got from their own parent. They can just lean back and be tended to. However, this relief is temporary. The fixated still holds deep resentment from their childhood, and eventually, the caretaker's demands will begin to feel exactly like the crushing weight of their needy parent. The initial chemistry wears off, and the cycle locks in. The caretaker starts to feel depleted. They've given everything and are still waiting for the reward. They push, they nag, they try to snag the fixated into being present. This triggers the fixated's ultimate fear, being controlled. They view any request for emotional honesty or sobriety as a threat to their survival. They react by retreating further into their escapes or finding an external distraction, like another person. The caretaker, in turn, is devastated. They become more desperate, redoubling their efforts to fix. This loop can escalate for years, with the relationship sustained only by scraps and crumbs of connection. The cruel irony is that both partners are trying to fix or escape the pain of their past, but by entering this dynamic, they actively recreate it. They are stuck in a painful feedback loop, and if they have children, they are inadvertently teaching them the same rules of engagement.
Is he ever gonna play with us?
I don't know, maybe later.
The cycle can and must be broken. The single exit point is to turn around, stop looking at the other person, and begin the terrifying yet ultimately liberating process of radical self-focus. This is the work of becoming your own advocate. For the caretaker, it means learning to identify, vocalize, and meet your own needs. It means choosing self-care over self-sacrifice. For the fixated, it means acknowledging the hidden pain and shame and realizing that vulnerability is not weakness, but a gateway to genuine strength. It means choosing connection over escape. For both, the work is about healing that original childhood wound. It's about building a spiritual and emotional core so strong that you no longer need another person to define you or complete you. You step off the dance floor and become whole. It's time to stop the dance and start living. Call us today to begin your journey to wholeness. God bless.